Welcome to the Brain Soul Success Show, where we learn, explore, and create your powerful positive healing for life. I'm your host, Louise Schwartzwalter. I'm the creator of a 5-part mind, body, soul methodology that clears the subconscious blocks to success. From engaging transformational interviews, brain soul success stories, and the secrets shared by brain and spiritual experts, you will reconnect, revitalize, and transform your powerful life. It's time for you. Hi, everyone. Dr. Louise Schwartzwalter here, and this is the Brain Soul Success Show, where we learn, explore, and create your powerful positive healing for life. And this is our roundtable conversation, and I am here with Sinclair Canale and Yolanda Haywood, and we're excited to be with you today. You know, this has been such an interesting journey we've all been on during this time, during COVID, and all the stuff that's been happening on the planet. And these powerful women really know how to lead. And I would love for you just to tell us a little bit about yourself for some of our new listeners, so they can know more about what you do. And then we're going to dive in today. And the topic is leading with love. It's really time to shift the energy, right, and to lead with love. And you ladies are such an example of that. So I'm super excited to dive in today. So Sinclair, share with us a little bit about what you do.
Sure. I'm Sinclair Canale. I'm a health pioneer, coach, and activist, and CEO of Vision Nation, creator of the Detox to Thrive system, and Detox Nation. So what we do is we help people detox safely the environmental toxicants that we've all been exposed to that have been a part of this tidal wave of chronic illness that we've all been experiencing the last couple of decades, and get back to their lives so that they can show up fully and do their best work.
Oh, so awesome. You're doing such great work. So awesome. Thank you for being here, Sinclair. Yeah, and Yolanda, share with us a little bit about what you do.
Thanks, Louise. My name is Yolanda Haywood, and I am an executive leadership coach and consultant, and I work with individuals and the companies they serve to help them break down those invisible walls that are holding them back so that they can really meet their goals. And what that really means is I help lead them into truth by creating the systems and processes that will help them be successful as individuals and as companies.
Oh, so awesome and so needed. I love how you lead. You know, you're so powerful. And if you guys don't know me, if you're brand new to our show today, I'm the beautiful balanced brain expert. And so I work with entrepreneurs and professionals. And as a naturopath, I help balance their physical body, but I took it further. And so I really look at how to balance people physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and clear any of the blocks that are in their way of their truth and helping them succeed in their life and in their business. So it's truly transformational. So we have an amazing topic today. You know, I was thinking about leading with love. We actually have an event coming up called Leading with Love Level Up. Because I know that when we lead with love, you actually do level up. You know, it's transformational. And I thought, what a great topic to talk about today, because you both do that, you know, in such a powerful way. So even when I just say, you know, what does leading with love mean? You know, how would you answer that? What does that mean to you?
I think you have to unpack both elements, right? So leading doesn't necessarily mean leading over or dominating other people. It means showing up with the quality of leadership in your own life in the way that's right for you, which means you've got to be present. You must be present to win, right? So it starts with that. And embodying the quality of leadership, because our society would change overnight if we each stepped into the leadership that we have within ourselves and with loving capability. You know, so that's the first thing that comes to my mind is, you know, leading from every spot in the room in your own life.
Oh, I like that. Awesome.
Responsibility is showing up.
Yeah, in your own life, every spot. Yeah. Very good, very good. Thank you, Sinclair. How about you, Yolanda? When we say, hey, what does it mean to lead with love?
I would say the phrase that came to mind for me was to follow with truth. And I say that because I think about leadership, a servant leadership type of model. You have to be willing to follow. It is not, as Sinclair just said, it's not just about this authoritative position. It's really about the camaraderie and the collaboration and how do you bring others along with you in the journey. And to lead with love really means that you're going to also follow the path of truth. So that as you are leading others, you're staying authentic to yourself, you're staying authentic to the mission, to the goals. And that's where love really gets to have its best dance, as I would say.
Awesome. So for you, it's truth. It's that truth.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And then how do you help people get to their truth?
Well, getting to your truth is a process because you will believe one thing maybe based upon the behaviors or the experiences of life, but sometimes you have to go back. I always say you need to take a look back in order to move forward because when you look back, that's when you start to see what those belief systems were and how they began to form. So, one of the things I do when I'm working with an individual is I have them go back. When was the first experience? What was the first time? What's the first memory? What did you believe before that experience? And we start to peel back the layers of the onion, so to speak, in order to get down to that innermost truth. And from there, you get to build your new confessions, your new mindset, your new affirmations that you're going to operate on. You get to determine what's the truth you're going to walk in. And I think every leader has to do that work because it's so easy to fall into a model, so easy to follow a process or to just believe something you were taught without processing the information and knowing how it resonates for you. Is this your truth? Is this really your belief system? So it's a process, but it's so necessary to walking into the path of being a really strong leader.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Totally makes sense because that's kind of a little bit what I do as well is I go back to clearing blocks,
Yeah, you do.
that are in the way of you having your successful, life, business stance, so I call it 100% your soul's truth.
Yeah.
Similar process. So,
Yeah, it's real similar. It's like
mhm.
I help them figure out what it is, and then I say, "Now, Louise, help them with the clearing of this."
Yeah, so, and yet, but the
All
first
got
step
our
really is that awareness, and it's getting,
Yeah.
it's getting to that, it's getting to those truths. I've also found that it's those places in our life where we have been invalidated that have to be cleared.
Yes.
So for everyone, we have those, whether it was the third grade teacher that, sat you in the back of the room, whether, you got punished for something, whether you felt rejected by your first boyfriend or girlfriend, oftentimes there's some place where we, have felt invalidated and then we don't feel worthy enough to lead. And so what I find is I have to clear those blocks for people, for them to get back to their truth. And both of you are absolutely like so right on, at least from where I sit and look at it, is we do have to work on ourselves. And when you work on yourself, you show up differently. And so as leaders, we're being called to do that work constantly. I always say to my people, I have to stay a little bit ahead of you guys. I got to be up here. I got to know like a little bit more, have a little more insight, and I have to do my own work so I can lead better. So
That's part of the function of leadership, right? Is that we don't go to the lowest common denominator and say, I'm going to be as afraid as you are. I'm going to be as, triggered as you are. Oh, no, I'm going to stay in a coherent state and I'm going to call you to me.
Yes.
Right?
Mhm.
That's part of what leadership is. That's why I love why you're doing this event coming up, Louise, about leading with love, because I think there's a huge difference between trying to get through 2020,
Uh-huh.
which is a very worthy goal. And if that's where you're at, that's great. But really the question is, where do you want to be a year from now? And how are you going to look back and feel good about the choices that you made? And it's really about tending to your state, tending to your health, tending to your presence, and coming from your deepest truth, right? So what does it take to get there?
Absolutely. What does it take to get there? Yeah,
You know,
very
I'm
well.
sorry, Louise.
Yeah,
That
go ahead, Yolanda.
was so, I love it. And the other thing that you said was, when you're working with someone and you're saying, who is the third grade teacher that invalidated you? Well, I want to take it to the other side. When you
Mhm.
are a leader, you have to be so mindful that in the same way you can heal, you can harm. And you,
Mhm.
if you're not doing that inner work, then you are doing some of that invalidating. You are doing some of that leading someone into that path of not feeling worthy. And you want to be in the good place, as Sinclair said, so that you call others to you. Come to the good side, to the light side, and really be there so that you are welcoming them into a safe place, that non-judgmental place. And as you're doing in the event, Louise, truly leading with love, because that is the place where the harm isn't done. That's the place where healing happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Absolutely. And when you said, Sinclair, that you call them to you, my mind flashed to being a teacher. When I was a teacher, I had high expectations for those special ed students that I worked with. I was raising I was holding them and holding them accountable, to a place, calling them to us. So whether you're a teacher or a coach or a leader, I think it's always going to be that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it is that non-judgmental for sure, and we could talk about judgment because there's a lot of that on the planet right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's opinions flying all over the place about everything that's going on, and it's, and it's important to hold that neutral space, isn't it? So
Mm-hmm.
how do you do that? I mean, let's find out how you do that in your world and with your clients.
Well, I'm personally biased because I was actually in a leadership position when I was very sick. And I was exactly what you were describing. I was doing my best.
Mhm.
And it was certainly a colossal effort just to get that done. But I was also aware that I really wasn't myself and that I was, at times hurting people because I was so underwater with my own physical and emotional symptoms. And so I'm very biased towards doing the work on yourself first
Mhm.
and being honest with yourself about that, because illness, for example, chronic illness comes on slowly. So does depression, so does anxiety, these mental and emotional conditions that we've diagnosed in our culture, which are very real. And
Mhm.
it can be difficult to know just how deep in the weeds you are. So a regular, I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to take stock. I'm going to do what I need to do for my physical, mental, and emotional bodies and my spiritual work. That's
Mhm.
essential for anybody that says, I want to contribute, not detract from this planet.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yes. It is all those components, So when I think of the word self-care, that's what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Many people know self-care as eating right, exercising, getting enough sleep, the kind of those lifestyle things. But what you're saying, Sinclair, is it's not just that. It's the emotional, it's the spiritual, it's taking care of yourself. I call it heal thyself,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
In all ways, so that
Yeah.
so that you can show up and be powerfully present.
Yeah.
Yeah, be powerfully present. What are some of the things that you both do with your clients to lead with love and to help them become powerfully present in who they are in the world too?
Want to go first, Yolanda?
Yeah, go ahead, Sinclair. I was forming my thought.
Oh, okay. I love it. I know your thinking face. So.
We know it's pretty good.
So for us, it's a lot about knocking down the noise. Excuse me. Like noise like that. So, our first stage with working with people is to knock down the inflammation and all of the stress noise in your mental, emotional, and physical bodies, so that you can actually see what's going on underneath that's fallen out of balance. Because once you have an imbalance, there's a lot of noise that just comes and adds to that from there. So let's get all that extraneous stuff out of the way. Let's clean up your diet. Let's recharge your cells. Let's get the toxins out. And then you can actually see what's going underneath, because as you know very well, Louise, from your personal journey, toxins lower your IQ. They dumb you down, slow you down. They weigh you down, literally, and they cause all kinds of havoc where your body is brilliant and would tend to itself. Those processes get interrupted. So it's literally halting your spirit's ability to inhabit your body fully. And I don't mind say it in that strong a language, because I deeply believe that. And so what we see over and over again is when people get the noise out of the way, their spirit can actually come back into their body more fully. And they have very different preferences now. They have very different instincts. They have very different desires. Everything changes from there, you know?
Right. And I know that was your journey. That was your journey too. And like mine, you know, and so the physical body affects the mental, emotional, and then, you know, we're whole people. So it's like, so what I learned is you have to do it all together.
Yeah.
That's all of those things. We have to detox the mind, because your brain is affected by your gut, you know? So if you're toxic in any way, you're not going to think clearly and be able to make those decisions that you need to make and show up powerfully. So that's physical body. But the mental and emotional stuff we have to peel away too. It is that invalidation at 3rd grade or whenever it was, or it could be emotions of your mom in the womb. Your mom had emotions in the womb, and we have to clear that stuff. So that's the sort of mental, emotional, you know, it kind of, also we could consider it maybe spiritual, but I think of that as mental, emotional. And then we're all on a spiritual journey, and Yolanda's so good with this part. It's about that belief system, right? And what we believe, and who you know, who is our higher power, you know, God, you know, there is no healing that can take place without God. What I've also seen and witnessed, and I'm curious about what you feel of this, is, you know, some of the best leaders and mentors and coaches that I have had in my life are real believers. They believe in God, you know, they pray. I mean, we know that they do this, and, you know, before a football game, you know, some of those coaches lead their teams, you know, in prayer. And I just really believe that's a huge piece for anyone in our world today, and maybe more so right now. I really do believe that everything with COVID is we are being called to release the fear and come back to faith. You know, we're being called to actually honor our faith, practice it, whatever, you know, cherish it, you know, be with God more. I don't know. That's my belief. You know, and when I work, I think when I work with clients, I really do impart that. That's something that I do. And what I'm noticing more and more is I've always attracted those people who are believers, because you're going to attract like-minded people.
I was just going to say that you attract who you are.
You know, you attract who you are. That's such a huge piece of the puzzle for what's going on right now. So anything on, I mean, I don't have a great question on that, just kind of thinking out loud here, you know, about belief and about, you know, spirituality and a belief in God. What do you see in your world with that? Yolanda, this is, you do this every day.
I mean, belief is foundational for all of the work that I do. My belief system is so deeply integrated into the work that I do. Part of that belief system is that every person gets a choice. So although my system of belief is integrated, I also make sure that I have done a really good job of allowing each individual I'm working with to choose. And they get to choose how they show up. They get to choose what they believe. They get to choose and make the choices for their life. I think that is so important for every person. You know, earlier you asked the question, how do you make sure that, you know, in the season that we're in, that your clients or your community shows up so powerfully? And It's the same. You know, I tell you all the time, it's looking back, it's making the connections. What is hindering you? What is really holding you back? Where does that come from? In order to move past a wall, you first have to touch it. I always like the analogy of being in one of those mirror mazes. You'll keep bumping into a mirror until you identify that it's really a wall, right? So I help them do that reflection process. And then when you introduce and you become aware of that pain, you have a choice. You can stay in it, or we can go through the processes to heal it where you can repurpose it. Because when you repurpose the pain, you get to choose to stand in a different type of power. And that leads you to that unlocking. All of us have such great potential inside of us that the right pressure will always produce potential if you go through the process the right way, right? So in the midst of COVID, you get to see what's unlocking for you, and you get to make a choice. What do you want to do with that potential? Do you want to leave it untapped, or do you really want to start to make impact in the world and ignite that fire on the inside of you? And I always tell them, you can choose to hit the ground running with this newfound awareness, this newfound level of freedom, this newfound truth, or you can stay where you are. You have that choice. I don't make it for them. I lead them in that way. I hope that they choose something that they can, what I like to say, lay their heads down at night and sleep with. But it's still that process. It's the making the new you on the belief system that you are now aware of. You get to choose your truth. When you were younger, you didn't get to choose it. Someone told you what to believe and they influenced you in ways that you didn't know you were being influenced. But when you enter into a state of awareness, you get to choose what you believe and how you interact with that belief. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, that was powerful. Very, very, very powerful. And that is what, that is what kind of spurred me to say, hey, we need to do an event to help people lead with love and level up. Is that choice, is making that choice for the rest of this year and saying it's time to thrive, not dive. Because I believe that the next, 6 months here are going to be completely powerful. In all ways for everyone if we're doing our work. It's doing our self-work. This is time to take care of ourselves. That's the message of COVID, is to build your immune system, get stronger, get healthy, be able to get out there, get your message out there in the way that you want to, in the way that you can affect the most people, if that's your goal. And really thrive, allow yourself to thrive and to make that choice, like you're saying, Yolanda, to step over here, make that choice for yourself.
Yeah. You know what comes up for me too is saying the hard things. I think as a leader who's leading with love, sometimes you have to say the hard things, but the first person you need to say it to is yourself. I remember when I was bitter. I was a bitter individual, and I had to say it. I had to say, you're missing the joy. You're missing the fullness of life. And I had to admit that truth to myself. And when I did, and I healed from that place of bitterness and moved and shifted into this place of joy and fullness and, all of the things that come with it, when I speak to someone else and I have to deliver to them the truth of what they may be reflecting and what they're giving off, I say it in love because I'm leading in love because I did the work. I said the hard things to myself. So now I can lead in love and say the hard things to you without crushing you,
Well, you're coming from your heart. Anytime you come from your heart, it means something. Yesterday in my office, I had a young girl and her mom. And they're obviously, she's a teenager and moved back home and doesn't want to be home really right now. We've all been there, right? So we know what that feels like. And I sat with both of them for a little while. It was a really kind of touching moment because I did have to be a little tough, and kind of put my hand on mom's knee and her and the girls. And I was like, you guys really love each other. Just acknowledge it right now. I want you, just to kind of sit there. And they both had a tear come out of their eyes. And then I had to tell them the story that when I moved into my office, it had so many light windows compared to my old office. I was afraid no one would cry. And I thought, oh no, I'm not going to get the same results. No one's going to cry, because crying is cleansing, and you let go of something. And it's a powerful thing when someone does, cry, and allow them that safe space to do that. And they both had that little tear in their eye, and I had to tell them my story about how I was worried no one would cry. And the first week I was in my office, everyone cried. It was great.
That's funny.
Isn't that funny? But it's
many windows, not enough.
It's the truth of healing.
I know what you mean.
That would never occurred to me, but I love it.
And so it's part of healing.
Let me tell you, if I walk into a room with you, Louise, and there's no windows, I'm leaving. I'm gonna say, you're trying to make me cry. I'm out of here. I'm gone.
Yeah, she's on here.
And Claire, beware. If she brings us to a place and there's no windows, get out of there.
Well, there'll be a day then. No. Now I'm going to be watching for those more rooms with no windows.
Right.
That's great. Let's see. I also think about leading with love is also sort of give and you receive. I call it the God loop. Right. So what examples in either in your life or in your business can you share with us when you gave and it came back tenfold?
Well, for me, anytime we've started a new endeavor, we've always come from this space of generosity. Like if it's a new product or a new service or a new event, like how can we bring in a lot of momentum? It's by opening up and inviting everybody in from a place of generosity, right? Mm-hmm. But I also had to do some rewiring, and I think a lot of healers do, a lot of leaders, a lot of women had to do some rewiring on loving as generosity and also loving as receiving.
Oh, good point.
Mm-hmm. Like I earned my place in my family by being useful as a kid. And so those are my stories of like, I'm not welcome unless I'm doing something. I have to earn my place all the time. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so I would work myself literally to the point of, on the brink of death, serious illness. And I had to learn I'm still welcome here if I'm not providing. And it's actually smarter to pick my moments to lead and pick my moments to receive, and then actually figure out how to do both at the same time, and only lead, only love from an overflowing cup. Right.
Yes.
Well, I'm just now landing in a good rhythm on that. It's been like 3 decades of really working hard on that. Going, when the fuck is it going to get better?
So good.
Yeah.
That's all. I had a pantry conversation last night with my son. I don't know how I got cornered in the pantry, but then we get into this deep conversation, and that's, you talk about that earning your place from usefulness as a child. We were speaking about what happens when it's generational. What happens when for generations you've learned that hard work brings peace, when you've learned that hard work keeps you safe, or that when you've learned that hard work, some of that broken mindset is what you have to fix when you are leading with love. That's a whole nother show. But definitely put that one down, Louise.
Yeah, okay.
I will, because that's one of my favorite topics.
That's a whole nother show. I don't even know what the question was. What was the original question? I forgot, for real.
I love to release those ancestral blocks, so I also love, I'm going to remember that we had a pantry talk. I love that.
Yeah, we had a pantry talk.
Pantry talk. Very good. It's kind of like with no window, right?
It was. It was so. It was such a good talk last night. It was just so good. But it just, what Sinclair said just really reminded me of that conversation about how sometimes we operate from that ancestral pattern.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And we don't know how much it is such a part of us. And so going back, now I remember the question to the generosity, very much like what she was saying. I think there's so much of me that was programmed to give, do, serve. What I learned, though, through my faith as a Christian is that service is a beautiful thing when done correctly, and that it really is more blessed to give and to receive. Now, we say more blessed to give than to receive, but I think receiving comes with it. When I open myself up to give, whether it's in money, tithes, whether it's in time, talent, abilities, gifts, it doesn't matter. When I open myself up to give, there is always a freeing. Something opens up for me where I can receive. Now, I had to do the work to be willing to receive, because I wasn't conditioned to be blessed. I wasn't conditioned for abundance. And so I struggled with the mindset that came with receiving what came after you gave. So I think as a leader, it is natural to give. I started the segment off talking about servant leadership. You want to give of yourself and you want to be a part of it, but you must also position yourself to receive all that comes with it. Because I truly believe that when you are doing the work from the heart, when you are giving from the heart, that blessings will overtake you. And you have to be ready for that. Yeah.
Beautifully said. Yes. I call it the God loop.
The God loop.
And I can feel when I'm in that flow.
Oh, yeah.
When you're in that flow and you are giving and you just feel like I will spiritually tithe to people who spiritually feed me, besides other kinds of tithing. And so what I notice is when I do that, that giving does bring more back. And you're right, it is about working to receive. Many women, especially women, I guess, we're taught to give and to serve, and so we do have to work on that receiving part probably a little bit more. And it truly is a God loop. And that's a concept that's definitely part of leading with love.
Yes. And that recognition, let's take it there. I think if we have a little time for it. When you talk about leading with love, and I think about the places where I had the hardest time receiving, sometimes it would be the feedback or the compliments, and I'm like, oh no, I just did what I had to do, or I don't want to be recognized. I was fine being in the background. But the flip side to that is, now as a leader, if I'm working with someone, I make sure that I express my appreciation. Thank you for the value that you brought this way. And if they shrink back, I lead with love at a different level. I go, no, I want you to stop. And I want you to look at the success, because we would not be here if it was not for the contribution that you made. Right. I don't allow them to go on the unhealthy path that I walked, because vicariously, they don't have to do it the way that I did it. They get to be elevated. They get to automatically be promoted into the different place because I got there first. You stay above and you bring the people with you, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that is leading with love. Like you said, you're helping them be accountable too, and honor themselves.
Honor.
And be able to take the compliment, teaching them how to take a compliment.
Yes.
Yes. It's teaching how. Yeah. Sinclair, you had something.
No, I just think that we're at such a choice point right now. I'm reading about, so we're several months into COVID, and we've been doing triage up until this point as a culture, but now we're in this place where we have 1,200% increase in suicides. We've had a year's worth of suicides in the last 4 weeks. And that doesn't even measure what everybody else is going through.
Right.
That's not at that point yet. And we're all resilient. I mean, I love how resilient human beings are. I'm in awe of it. And there's some choices we have to make in ourselves and collectively. How can we get through to the other side? And I really love the premise of what we're talking about here, because I do deeply believe that at every level, it's about leading with love and taking care of the vessel that you came in, because you only got one. And making choices every day that you're coming from your highest self, and you're not letting the fear messages coming at you constantly affecting you and derailing you, you know? It
Yes.
really is a conscious decision.
Yes, and I do see a lot of that. I mean, I'm like super busy in all my both of my businesses because right now everyone's got anxiety, and I do, I release anxiety and ancestral patterns and stress and and depress, and can work on that anxiety and all the stuff going on right now. So that's huge right now. We have to make some choices, like you said, and if we can make that choice and hold up with powerful intention. So it's intention. And I believe there's a difference between intention and expectation. And I would love to know your definitions of that. So when I even just say that, what's the difference between intention and expectation? What comes up for you?
For me, it was the give and the receive. I know that's so
Okay.
when I think about intention,
Mhm.
it's personal, it's mine. What am I bringing to add value? What am I bringing to gift? What is that heart intention behind it? It's the gift that I offer. When I think about expectation, for some reason, for me, that is about someone else. What are they bringing? What are they giving? So it's that balance between the giving and the receiving. Intention is my heart's motive towards the person, the move, the event, the encounter. That's intention for me.
Like it. Oh, thank you for that definition. That's beautiful.
I love that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. How about you, Sinclair? Any ideas on that?
I think mine is kind of congruent with Yolanda's actually. I think about intention as coming from within and it's emanating outwards, and it's not so much about I have to get to a line marked in the sand. It's more about the quality of our approach and what we want to create together. But there's room for that to disseminate in a bunch of different ways. So it's more inward emanating outward, whereas expectation is like it's on the outside and I've got to like get to it and hit these boxes, and it doesn't feel as flowy, The opposite.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel
And
absolutely.
I got an and to that. And there's in the work that I do, especially when we are doing work around diversity, equity, and inclusion, we talk a lot about the difference between intent and impact.
Mm-hmm.
When you are leading with love
Mm-hmm.
and the intent is coming from that pure place, you have less damage due to unwanted impact. Because you don't necessarily get to choose the impact of your intention. So you want your intention to be really clear and pure as you go forward, because it will have a resulting impact. And that impact can be good or it can be not so good. So as a leader who leads with love, you want to make sure that those intentions are always purified and that you're leading in truth and that you're bringing others along that authentic journey with you.
Oh, yes. Yes.
That's so beautiful.
Wow, I've got a little cheerleading thing going on right here. Yeah. Yes, yes. That was great, Yolanda. You had something else, Sinclair? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking about 3 things that I want to unpack in this day event with you.
Okay.
I want to give people tools so that their behavior, most behavior is a request for love or a request for respect, right? And if you have those 2 needs met internally, then a whole new range of possibilities opens up and you get dramatically more effective. So you can be grounded in your own self-love or you can be grounded in spiritual love. I'm not defining it for you. I work on both so that I'm always open to both, because I've got to lean on my spiritual network. I like to feel small in the cosmos. It makes me feel at home. But those are 2 pieces. So the request for love or the request for respect. And if you meet them yourself, then you can actually be of service for everybody else. And also boundaries. When we're not healthy and we're low energy, boundaries become a lot of work and they become very artificial. And actually, when your cells are fully charged and your cell walls are healthy, I notice boundaries become effortless for people.
Yes. Yes.
So it's really working on those levels.
I love those levels. That's
Love that.
awesome. I love that. That's great. Yeah, that's really great.
Like, I wish we could rewind it. I know it's a show. Eventually, I would get it and I could go back and listen. But like, I wish I could rewind. You know, like on your remote, you have that 10-second button. Like,
Yeah, I know. Well, that's what the beauty of conversation is, though. Here is when we get together like this, and we have our roundtable, discussion, we spark each other, further. You know what I mean? Like, at least
definitely
conversation. Like, I learn from all of you. We have such great wisdom. It sparks my, ability to think later about, hey, that was so great. What do I want to do with that? Or, we learn from each other. So that's what I like about the art of conversation is we're really helping us all grow in a bigger way. So there's such beauty with conversation. And so I so appreciate you both here today talking about leading with love and our upcoming event, Lead with Love, Level Up. It's a high vibe event for entrepreneurs and growth seekers. We look forward to seeing you there. Sinclair will be speaking with us there. Yolanda will be at our next one, I know. So, I just feel like I want to reach as many people as we can with this message, because the next half of 2020 is time to thrive, even in this new world, and create the new you out of this chaos that we're in. That's what we're being all called to do. So yeah,
Louise, when is the event and how can people register for it?
Yeah, so the event is August 1st, and we can register at my website, louiseswartzwalter.com/lead with love. So that's the actual URL, but it's under events. It's right on the top of my website page. It's louiseswartzwalter.com. And I look forward to seeing you all there. I know it's going to be powerful. I can feel it. It is my intention that there is great transformation and clarity for you to step into 2020 in a way where you can thrive bigger than you ever have and achieve whatever goals that you have. Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
That's so beautiful, Louise. We're so blessed to be around you.
Yeah, this is so awesome to be with you today. I love you guys. We do this every month, so look forward to seeing you back here next month. And keep checking our podcast out here. So it's Brain Soul Success Show. Definitely review and review and comment. We would love to hear your comments. And again, I love you so much. I love you, Sinclair. I love you, Yolanda. This has been awesome. I want to give you a big hug. Can we do that? Just give a big hug here. Yeah, we have to do a big hug because it's Lead with Love. We've got to just, oh, yes. Okay. Well, have an awesome day, everyone.